Ever wish someone had handed you a life plan? Like, not just for the next couple years, but for the next 300.
300 years. Wow.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. The incredibly detailed, wildly ambitious 300-year vision of David Whittier.
This is his Vision 300 document,
Yeah,
huh?
the one and only. And don't worry, we're not expecting you to, adopt this whole thing as your own.
Right.
We're here to unpack the most intriguing parts, see what makes it tick, maybe spark some of your own big picture thinking along the way.
What strikes me right off the bat is that this isn't your average self-help manifesto.
Okay.
It's part business plan, part philosophical exploration, all filtered through the lens of David's, well, pretty unconventional life experiences.
And that's what makes this so fun.
Right.
He's not just some, guru on a mountaintop.
Right.
This is a guy with stories,
Oh, yeah?
living in a combi, giving an engagement ring to a stranger.
What?
It's like a movie, but it also makes you wonder, what kind of mind dreams this big?
That's the key question, right? So before we even get to dissecting this 300-year plan itself, we kind of have to understand the force behind it.
Exactly. And luckily, David's pretty open about his journey.
Yeah.
So, let's see, grew up in Hong Kong, spent some time in Scotland,
Okay.
even lived on an island with a castle for a bit.
No way.
Yeah. Then it was off to London, but that travel bug had already bitten. By the time we get to the Vision 300 document, he's talking about adventures in something like 30 countries.
Wow, 30 countries. That kind of global exposure, it has to shape how you see the world.
Totally. And it's not just sightseeing. This is a guy who's worked everywhere from Accenture to Coca-Cola, then boom, pivots to chasing something more, exploring New Zealand and Australia, all in a combi.
In a combi. That's awesome.
Hold on, back up. Did we mention he actually went into debt doing this, like serious debt?
Really?
He doesn't shy away from the less glamorous parts of following your dreams.
That honesty is refreshing. So many of these self-help gurus, it's all sunshine and rainbows. He's saying, hey, I've been there, made mistakes, but learned a ton along the way.
Exactly. And those lessons, they really inform everything that comes later. So he ends up back in the UK, broke but not broken. And that's where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Broke but not broken. How do you figure that?
Okay, picture this. Rainy Manchester, leaky flat, $65,000 in debt.
Ooh, not ideal.
Not exactly the setup for a life-changing decision.
You're telling me.
And yet, he decides, kind of on a whim, to move to Brisbane, Australia.
Wait, what?
No job, no visa, just this gut.
Finances back on track, but he ended up working on these billion-dollar projects for companies like Rio Tinto and Boeing, so the risk-taking seems to be like part of his DNA.
Okay, I have to ask about the engagement ring story. He crafts this ring, plans to propose, it falls through. So he gives it to a stranger in the desert.
He just gives it away.
That's what he says.
That's wild. Why would he do that?
That sounds crazy, right?
Uh,
But this chance encounter, it leads him to his wife, Erin. This theme of unexpected turns leading to profound change, it's huge in his thinking.
wow. So from a stranger in the desert to his wife. Okay, keep going.
And then he lands in Los Angeles, which, I don't know, it feels very manifesting your destiny at this point.
Right. It's like all these random things led him there.
Exactly. But it's not all just luck and chance encounters. This is a guy who's multi-talented.
Mhm.
Chef-level cooking, massage therapy, ballroom dancing, the list goes on and on,
Wait, he does all that.
according to him.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking about like a modern-day Renaissance man or something.
Right. He even lists himself as a gifted speaker and storyteller, handyman, creative in clothing and fashion. The document is peppered with these little details that make him such a compelling figure.
I can see how all that would make for an interesting life, but how does it connect to the 300-year plan?
Okay, I think it's easy to read all this and think, he's just showing off, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think the takeaway here is that each experience, from pitching tents to running hotels, has given him insights into human nature. This isn't just a resume, it's the foundation for his 300-year vision.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So how does someone with a background like this end up creating a 300-year life plan?
Well, on top of everything else, he's been an international corporate trainer for over 20 years, teaching hard skills like SAP and Oracle systems.
Oh, wow. So he's got that practical get stuff done side to
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the fascinating part. He combined that with this deep dive into personal development. He became a certified DeMartini method facilitator, explored NLP, hypnosis. He's blending those worlds.
So we've got the practical and the more, let's say, esoteric.
Exactly. He's got the practical get stuff done side, but also this fascination with unlocking human potential.
And that's where Vision 300 comes in.
Bingo. And one of the first things that grabbed my attention is this concept of decoding messages. He believes the universe is constantly sending us signs, but most people are just too busy to notice them.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first read that, I was like, here we go with the woo-woo stuff.
Right.
But then I actually thought about it, and
There might be something to it.
exactly. And that's what David wants us to do, think differently. It's about being more present, paying attention to those seemingly insignificant details, and deciphering what they might mean for your life.
It's almost like he's encouraging us to become like detectives of our own lives.
I like that.
Which I have to say is a lot more interesting than just blindly following a to-do list.
Right. And this idea of decoding messages, it ties directly into what David calls the 3 C's of transformation: confidence, clear direction, and communication.
Which, okay, on the surface, those might sound like, your typical self-help buzzwords.
Yeah, for sure.
But David connects them back to his own experiences in a way that makes you actually pay attention.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me an example.
So, for instance, he talks about how living in that combi for 2 years, it forced him to develop incredible confidence.
How so?
He had to rely on himself, adapt to new situations, become a master problem solver, like on the fly.
That makes sense.
And that wasn't just about fixing a flat tire, right?
Yeah.
He had to become comfortable with uncertainty, with not having all the answers. That's a different kind of confidence than what you get from a pep talk.
Absolutely. It's one thing to talk about confidence. It's another thing to actually live it.
Exactly. And it's not just about confidence, is it? He's saying you need that clear direction, that understanding of your values and purpose to really make choices that move you forward.
Okay, so how do we find that clear direction?
And this is where things get interesting. Because he's not just saying find your purpose. He's actually created a system, a framework.
Of a 300-year plan, to be exact. A 300-year plan. And this 300-year plan, it's not some pie-in-the-sky concept for just David, right?
Right. This is something he calls the Your Life Plan Initiative, and it's designed to help anyone create this kind of personalized roadmap, all for the sake of a fulfilling life.
Okay, so how does that actually work? Because, let's be real, 300 years is a lot of time to plan for.
Yeah, no kidding. He breaks it down into 2 main parts. The first part is all about these curated lists of experiences, activities, all tailored to things like your age, your location, what your actual goals are.
So instead of just like a generic to-do list, it's more, what, like a choose-your-own-adventure for personal growth?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the examples he gives are surprisingly specific. Like for a 16-year-old living in a city, he suggests things like go see a show, like in a real theater, plan a hike, but make the destination a water source. Even, get this, visit an old people's home.
Visit an old people's home, that's not your typical self-improvement advice.
I know, right? But it makes you think. It's not something you usually see on those lists. It makes you think about connecting with different generations, getting outside your bubble. Those are just a few examples.
Oh, there are tons more, aren't there? And they get pretty interesting, like hold a snake is one that stood out.
See, now that one's just brave. But it totally fits with his whole step outside your comfort zone philosophy. It's about expanding your horizons, like literally and figuratively.
And David, being David, he doesn't stop there. He talks about using apps, AI, even those scheduled phone alarms, but with different accents, to provide reminders and support. It's like he's gamifying personal growth.
He's really thinking about the practicalities here, right? Not just a list of suggestions, but how do you actually make it happen? How do you keep people engaged? Which, let's be honest, that's where a lot of these self-help plans fall apart.
Oh, 100%. But you know what? That was just part 1 of the Your Life Plan. Part 2 is where it gets really interesting and honestly kind of more human, you know? This is where he brings in the wisdom of older generations.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about this crowdsourced wisdom idea. I'm intrigued.
Imagine this. Curated lists of advice, but it's coming from people of all walks of life, different backgrounds, and they're sharing the things they wish they'd known at different stages in their lives. The if I knew then, what I know now kind of wisdom.
That's brilliant. It's like having access to this whole library of life lessons, all distilled from the combined experience of, well, everyone.
Precisely. He even suggests people could record messages to their younger selves, like, here's what I wish I knew about relationships, finances, careers. You know, those practical, everyday things that, honestly, a lot of us learn the hard way.
I love that he's incorporating that element of personal storytelling. It's one thing to read some generic advice in a book, right? But it's another thing entirely to hear it from someone who's actually lived it, mistakes and all.
Exactly. And by crowdsourcing all this wisdom, he's tapping into a very human need. That desire to learn from the people who've gone before us, to maybe avoid making the same mistakes they did. It's like having this global network of mentors all at your fingertips.
Okay, I love the idea, but let's be realistic for a second. Is this even feasible? Like, to actually create this massive database of personalized life advice and then make it accessible to everyone? That's a tall order.
That's the million-dollar question. He talks about offering the core knowledge for free, but then the more experiential, in-person components, those would come at a higher price point.
So kind of like a tiered system,
Exactly.
which makes sense. I mean, from a sustainability standpoint, you need a way to fund this whole thing.
Yeah.
But it also seems to align with his whole mission, right? It's not about creating some exclusive club. He wants this to be accessible to as many people as possible.
100%. And this leads into one of the most, I'd say, intriguing and potentially controversial aspects of his vision, the unconventional learning environments.
Right. We can't talk about David Whittier without mentioning the residential retreats, the thrift store challenges. This is not your typical self-help guru advocating for sitting in a classroom all day.
Oh, absolutely not. He's all about experiential learning, stepping outside your comfort zone, embracing these new experiences, and then allowing those experiences to actually shape who you become.
Which brings us to the RC cars.
The RC cars.
Because, of course, what better way to illustrate personal strengths than with remote-controlled vehicles?
Okay, that one did make me chuckle when I first read it.
Right.
But when you think about it, it kind of makes sense in a weird way, right? He's taking this playful, engaging activity to help people understand these more complex concepts.
It's like he's saying, let's stop taking ourselves so seriously and approach personal development with a little bit more curiosity, a little bit more fun.
Exactly. And remember how he talked about dressing in women's clothing? He suggests using that experience to help people challenge their own assumptions, see the world from a different perspective.
There's a real vulnerability in sharing that part of himself and a willingness to push boundaries that, honestly, I find really admirable.
Yeah, and it speaks to his belief that true growth, it often happens when we're willing to get a little uncomfortable, challenge our comfort zones.
So all of this, the Your Life plan, the unconventional learning, the RC cars, it all feeds into his grand vision, right? The
Yeah.
300-year vision.
Exactly. He sees this future where there are 56 international locations, all dedicated to personal growth and offering this alternative education system.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because 56 international locations, that's not just a dream, that's a whole movement.
It is.
Is that even realistic? 56 locations, that's a massive undertaking.
It really is, and it raises so many questions, right?
Yeah, like how do you even start to build something that big?
Well, he talks about these locations becoming like hubs for this alternative education system, and it's not about replacing traditional schools, it's running parallel to them.
So offering something alongside what we already have.
Exactly. He's picturing a world where personal development, life skills, the arts, they're given just as much weight as academics.
Which, I mean, let's be real, that's a huge shift from how we currently think about education.
Absolutely. It's like a complete rethinking of what education should be doing. Like, what are we actually preparing young people for?
Not just to get a job, but to live a good life, right?
Precisely. He's talking about not just acquiring all this knowledge, but understanding yourself, knowing your values, figuring out, like, your place in the world.
And having the actual tools to go out and create a life that has meaning, a life of purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to do that, he really believes we need to move beyond that traditional classroom textbook kind of setting.
Which, I mean, explains the residential retreats, the thrift store challenges, all those kind of out-of-the-box learning experiences, right?
He's all about that, the power of experiential learning.
Because sometimes you just learn more from, like, holding a snake than reading about it.
100%. It's
But-
about making learning fun and engaging, making it relevant to people's lives.
And sparking that curiosity.
Exactly, creating those aha moments.
And it's not just about individual growth either, is it?
Definitely not. He talks a lot about community, how important that is.
He even talks about these genius events.
Oh yeah, tell me about those.
So it's like this space where people can come together and share their unique skills, their passions,
So someone who's amazing at coding could connect with a master bread baker.
right? And they learn from each other. Everybody brings something different to the table.
That's a really cool idea.
It is. And I think even though, I mean, some aspects of this 300-year plan might seem I don't know, a little idealistic.
Or a little far-fetched.
Okay, yeah, 300 years is a long time.
But I think the underlying message here, it's actually incredibly powerful. It's kind of a call to action for all of us.
A call to do what?
To live lives of purpose, to contribute something, to make the world a better place than we found it, you know?
And to find those things that make you come alive, right?
Exactly. And I think whether or not we're buying into every detail of this 300-year plan, I think just reading David's Vision 300, it's a powerful reminder we all have a role to play in shaping the future.
That even our small actions can have a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think as you're going about your day, think about this. If you were creating your own 300-year vision, what would that look like?
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
And what's one tiny step, even just one, that you can take today to start making that vision a reality?
Because the most incredible journeys, they all have to start somewhere.
They do.
And who knows, those steps might lead you somewhere amazing.